Heel Michael Cole ruins everything. I'm Chairrett with the retro review of WWE TLC 2010, a 10-year-old pay-per-view that I remember being half and half. Half of it was good, and half of it was pretty goddamn shit, like the main event where Wade Barrett became Wade Barrett, and if you think that's the only Wade Barrett pun I'm going to make, you don't know me very well, but in all seriousness, this pay-per-view was kind of a nosedive compared to 2009. Now, 2009 had its issues, but it's frustrating because there was a really good tables match, a really good TLC match, and, a pretty damn good ladder match. The problem is they were spaced out, and in the midst of all these, like opening a show, it was okay, but a lot of shit in the middle. It's a real goddamn shame because the effort was there. And then there was one segment with Cody Rhodes and Big Show that was absolutely fucking atrocious to promote a movie that I totally fucking forgot about until I ended up rewatching this pay-per-view. One thing I did like, though, the Trans-Siberian Orchestra Christmas Eve in Sarajevo opening. I fucking love that song. It's a great Christmas song. It's a great song in general. I love Trans-Siberian Orchestra. And this is good shit. Just a shame it was used on a pay-per-view that isn't that fondly remembered. Then we had the dark match of Daniel Bryan versus Ted Dibiase Jr. for the U.S. Championship. Remember when they tried to make Ted Dibiase Jr. his dad and gave him Maurice and it didn't fucking work at all? Remember that? Remember when they tried to make him an on-screen couple? Really fucking shitty. At least Maurice and Miz found each other and they had two beautiful kids, and that's great. Miz and Mrs. is an absolute dumpster fire of a show, but good on them for being a happy couple. Ted Dibiase Jr. did not last very long in the company, did he? I think he was gone within the next couple years. So we had heel Michael Cole. Let me just say right now that I know Michael Cole gets screamed a lot by Vince McMahon to basically just, yell at people and do all that. But he was insufferable here, and he was basically the inspiration for, what Josh Matthews is now. Not even heel Josh Matthews. Just Josh Matthews being a goddamn douche, which I don't know if that's actually him on commentary or just him in real life, because he is a goddamn idiot. But anyway, heel Michael Cole, this is when things were really getting started. He had just screwed over Jerry Lawler when he faced The Miz at the end of November in that TLC match, which wasn't very good at all. And heel Michael Cole, he got so goddamn bad here. If there's one takeaway from this, it was a bad idea, and it made commentary and pay-per-views just impossible to get through without hitting the mute button. So we had Kofi Kingston, Jack Swagger, now Jake Hager, and Dolph Ziggler with Vicky Guerrero in a triple threat U.S. title ladder match. And kind of weird how Ziggler and Kofi are still in the company and Hager's slumming it in the role he is in AEW. I mean, and I'm not saying AEW is a slums. It's just he's just a freaking background piece. That's all he is. And he wasn't much better off here. He had cashed in Money in the Bank and been a world champion for a cup of coffee and was just sliding down the card and then would screw up his 2013 push by being a goddamn idiot. But that was well before this. Yeah, so triple threat U.S. title ladder match, and all that this is really remembered for is Swagger injuring his wrist. I mean, that really didn't look like a very good spot. I mean, he looked like he could have hurt a whole lot more. Vicky Guerrero trying to do something athletic, that was adorable. And then Kofi and Swagger fight on top. The title falls down, and Ziggler gets possession of it, and Ziggler retains. So there we go right there. Nexus meeting with the Future Fiend. It was the future Curtis Axel, Michael McGillicuddy. David Otunga had been taken out because John Cena was taking out all the Nexus members. Because SummerSlam 2010 wasn't bad enough. Let's just do this whole thing where we give the Nexus a little bit of an advantage after we completely cut the legs out from under them. Check out my SummerSlam 2010 retro review if you really want to know how I felt about that, because, oh boy, did I fucking hate it. But you had them. You had Justin Gabriel, who is not a very intelligent person if you check out his Twitter. Heath Slater and the Future Fiend. Cool. Yeah, Husky Harris, by the way. He would have to go away for a while and then be Bray Wyatt. And then be beaten into power there by John Cena. Cena did a lot of good in his career, but he did bury a lot of people, or Creative did. But, Cena could have gone and said, hey, maybe we shouldn't do that and this guy should beat me. No, we're not going to do that, because we need to have the kids all happy, and it stunted the growth of so many talents. Not as much as Hogan, but close. So anyway, the Nexus meeting, they're talking about, we're going to take out Cena tonight. Then we get Layla and Michelle Mccool versus Natalia and Beth Phoenix, Divas tables match. I love Layla. Michelle was fine, but I always like Layla more out of the group. I like Beth. Natalia, the fact she's still going strong after 10 more years in the company, longevity, credit to her for that. Beth, hopefully we'll get back in the ring at some point, but she seems to be doing just fine, shouting on commentary on NXT. The painted table for Mccool actually kind of looked like drawings or paintings that Jerry Lawler did because he was an artist. That's how he got started in wrestling. Actually does pretty damn good art. Don't care for Lawler outside the ring, but he does do pretty damn good art. Basically it was just, the arguing between the people like, Mccool's like, no, we need to do this, we need to do this. It was starting to ascension. The Cole-Lawler arguing in particular, though, was infuriating. It was really fucking annoying, and it would only get worse. I am the table, though, because the table didn't quite break, and then Natalia splashes both of them through the table to get the victory. Nice match, actually. I really enjoyed this. It's just a shame commentary was taken away from it. Matt Striker, by the way, was the best part of commentary on this show. That shows you where the commentary, situation was in 2010. I don't mind Matt Striker, but he was never the best. Him and Vampiro were great in Lucha Underground. Anyway, then Kane cuts a promo about Christmas, how he sat alone in darkness. Now he's going to play with his new toys, referring to the 3 men he's facing. He's going to play with 3 men on live pay-per-view. Have fun on seeing that. And he breaks more holiday stuff. Santino annoying everybody, trying to do comedy and failing. It's him and Kozlov defending the WWE Tag Team Championships against Slater and Gabriel with Harris and McGillicuddy there. This is the state of the WWE Tag Team division. The referee sees McGillicuddy try to chop block Santino, or actually sees him chop block Santino, disqualifies him, they beat him down. Wade comes down with a chair, more like Wade Chairrett. Told you that wasn't going to be the last pun. At least he didn't use the drum, otherwise he would have been Wade Snarrett. And then he beats him down, and there we go. He's just hyping up the Chairrett match later. Morrison versus Sheamus, #1 contenders ladder match. Good match, really good stuff. King Sheamus, though, fucking stupid. All the King stuff was really goddamn bad. They should have never brought back, the King of the Ring in 2015 because we got King Barrett, which didn't work at all, and then we got King Corbin, which is even worse. Remember when the King of the Ring was prestigious and they fucked up everything after 2002? Well, except King Booker. King Booker was actually not that bad. Match was good. Cole was more annoying than ever. Seriously, somebody should have just chased him away from commentary and just had Striker and Lawler call the damn thing. Plenty of good spots. Morrison sold his knee a lot, and Sheamus went through a ladder on the outside, but got back in the ring, and then Morrison, they did the old thing where the ladder went into the ropes. Morrison kicked that off, kicked Sheamus right in the face, grabbed the contract, and would face off against Miz to open up the first edition of Raw for 2011, and would lose. And that would be about the last major match that he would end up having for a championship, though he would have won Steel Cage main event at Extreme Rules, but nobody believed that Morrison was going to get the victory. He was just there basically to take the pin, and I believe that's what he did. But this match was good, though, and noted idiot Josh Matthews doing the backstage interviews. Basically, just people talking and everything. Wade Barrett and Husky Harris arrive at the Nexus locker room and suddenly see, oh no, the other guys are laid out. Hey, how could we have left these 3 goons alone? Who could possibly have done this, except we knew it was Cena? And then we get Miz versus Orton with Alex Riley. It was a WWE tables match. I'm just going to say this right now, that heel Michael Cole did nothing to help Miz's run. Nothing. If anything, actually, I think that's part of the reason why Miz's WWE Championship run is not fondly remembered, because Michael Cole is a fucking embarrassment to commentary. Actually, he's an embarrassment to anybody in WWE, not named Bruce Pritchard or Kevin Dunn, or maybe John Laurinaitis. He's high up there, though, because Michael Cole's a fucking embarrassment. Should have been taken off of commentary years ago. Actually, this company would have been better off they had never hired him, or at least never put him on commentary, just kept him backstage in the producer role, and then we would have never had to hear whatever the fuck Michael Cole does on commentary. I don't like Michael Cole, in case you can't tell. This is not good. We get a ref bump. Alex Riley goes through a table, and then Miz puts Orton on the table after knocking him out, and he wins, but then they play it, they do the replay, the ref sees the replay on the giant screen. Miz did not factor this into the plan. They restart it, and then Orton goes through a table like 30 seconds later. It's fucking pointless. And my God, just Cole, absolutely insufferable here. But then Rosa Mendes was polishing Del Rio's hood ornament, on his car that is, and then Edge was bouncing in Del Rio's back seat. Boy, there was a lot of weird shit going on in 2010. They teased their Mania match that's going to be coming up. I mean, even though we didn't know at the time, it was pretty obvious Edge was going to win. Ray versus Kane versus Edge versus Del Rio with Ricardo Rodriguez. 4-way TLC World Title match. Good stuff. This is actually probably the best match on the show. It was a car crash. Kane was a world champion. You could have argued that Kane should have recaned, if you will, but he did not. Edge ended up winning here. But it was good stuff. There was ladder splash, splash out the ladder through a table. They were on the stairs later, or on the stage later. We got a chair 1-9 because the 619 got blocked by a chair. Ricardo goes up and then gets choke slammed off the ladder. Edge wins, becomes a 10-time champion. And before that, Del Rio fell off the ladder and went almost headfirst through a goddamn table. Given, shit that he's done later in his career and his life, kind of explains that maybe he's had a lot of head trauma. Or he's just a horrible human being. Who the fuck knows? But at this point, he actually was seen to have some potential. And then, my fucking god, this is just ridiculous. We get dashing Cody Rhodes. He's going to stuff your stockings with his grooming tips. He's going to stuff your stockings with his tips. Big, big tips. Moving on. Bit weird that dashing Cody Rhodes actually would be the precursor to what he would be on the Indies and in New Japan and now somewhat in AEW. But he was never used to his full potential in WWE. I'm not saying he should have been the guy. It just always seems like they were stop-start with him and it never made sense. Maybe it's because Vince always resented the fact that, hey, Dusty competed against him and now I'm going to take it out on your son. Like I took it out on Dustin to do Goldust, but Dustin was smart enough to make Goldust work. And I ain't the biggest AEW defender. I'm just glad Cody's gained his chance to basically be what Triple H is or was for a number of years on WWE television. Anyway, that's well after this pay-per-view. So he talks to Jowls of Houston, and then Big Show Claus and the Bellas show up, and they're reaching into the various sacks that they have. Santa has 3 sacks, and each woman is holding one of his sacks. I'm going to keep saying Big Show's sack until I make this as uncomfortable as possible. They're throwing out Knucklehead DVDs. You remember Knucklehead? That movie that literally nobody wanted, but they decided to fucking make for some goddamn reason. Apparently it meant something to Big Show, and that's great. It was a terrible movie. It would have been terrible no matter who was in it, but at least they made it. And then we have Spinebuster and Big Show strips Cody down because he made fun of that scene in Knucklehead where he was in his underwear. So Cody was in his underwear. And then Wade and Husky are walking down the goddamn alleyway. The aisle, or, down backstage somewhere. And Husky decides to go first through this, one door that's open. We don't think to open the other door. No, and Cena hits him with a chair. That's all of them. See you out there. And Punk joins commentary. He did not replace Cole. He replaced Stryker. And Punk just laid into John Cena during this match, saying he didn't really like him, teasing the feud a little bit later because he would actually take out John Cena coming back from an injury soon after this. And then Cena would come out and destroy everybody in the new Nexus, just like he did with the old Nexus at the 2011 Rumble. You remember the 2011 Rumble, the 40-man Royal Rumble that seemed like a good idea and wasn't? Then it's literal burial of Wade Barrett. It's Wade Barrett and John Cena in a chairs match, and there was no way Wade was going to win this. They did a cool spot where Wade picked up the stairs, so he became Wade Starrett, and then he was put in the chair and then slid into the stairs, Chairrett Barrett, and while he stares at it, and these puns are just so goddamn bad. Super Cena AA through 6 chairs and pins him and then buries him under all those goddamn chairs and just is so fucking goddamn bad. Yeah, Cena never buried anybody in his career. No, never fucking buried anybody. He helped a lot of people. I'm not saying he didn't. 2010 may have been some of the most egregious burials that he fucking did. It was fucking goddamn rotten. Absolutely goddamn rotten. That's all for TLC. Yeah, not a good way to end it. Really was not good at all. Like, it's a goddamn shame. I mean, Wade Barrett was never the same. He was never going to be the same after SummerSlam, but good God. He was a multi-time Intercontinental Champion. Anybody remember anything about his reigns? Seriously. I'm not saying Wade Barrett could have been, like, an all-time main eventer, but they didn't even try. They just fucking had Cena continue to do this shit, and stunted the growth of a lot of people. Have I mentioned that? Agree, disagree with what I said? Like, share, subscribe, Twitter handle in the description. I'm John Retlin. I'll see you soon.